What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another video. I hope you've been enjoying my travel photography vlogs so far. They've been a ton of fun to make. If you haven't managed to catch any of them, then the links will be on the side as well as down in the video description below. So although I haven't done a lot of reviews on this channel yet, this photography orientated review will be unlike any of my others so far. I have up until this point focused on helping you make a purchase decision based on hardware design to help you get the most out of your photography workflow, be it a comfortable way to carry your gear to an ideal piece of kit for traveling like the travel tripod I reviewed a few months back. This review will focus more on the end product, the fruits of all of your hard graft. I am of course talking about prints, and more specifically a photo book. This photo book from Saal-Digital. Before we start, a little disclaimer: I like transparency in all of my videos, especially ones which could result in you spending your hard-earned cash. So the terms of the deal I have with Saal-Digital is that I release a product review of the quality of the photo book. And that is it. I haven't been given any sort of list asking me to mention anything at all, so every single word in this review is based on stuff that I've personally researched about Saal-Digital or based on my own informed experience. They did subsidise my purchase by £40, which is sort of a goodwill gesture for me spending my personal time to review their product. Long story short, this review is by no means a sponsored affair. Lastly, before we crack on with it, I usually aim to review products that are pretty much available worldwide. Unfortunately, Saal-Digital don't currently cater to a worldwide audience. They operate only in the European market. They cater for countries such as the UK, Germany, Spain, Italy, Poland, France, and pretty much in their own words, most EU countries. There doesn't seem to be any plans to branch outside of Europe yet. However, if you do live inside a European country, a quick Google search will let you know if they cater to your specific location. After this review, if you fancy having a look at an electronic copy of my book, then there's a link down in the description. It should be valid up until maybe the mid or the end of November, so let me know what you think of my design. Even though I've only been asked to review the quality of the actual book itself, that's not going to give you guys the full situation when it comes to dealing with Saal-Digital as a company. So this review will be in 3 parts. The first will focus on the companion software that Saal have free of charge, the quality of the photo book, and then lastly, using Saal-Digital as an overall company. Right, let's do it. Starting off with the software, it's a straightforward download from their website. It's available for both Windows and Mac OS. I've personally only tried out the Windows 4.0.71 version, but I can't really imagine the features differing between operating systems. Once installed, you're met by a screen showing you all of the different types of prints you can create, either using one of the many predefined templates or by creating your own from scratch. So clicking on Photo Book, you'll be met with a few further options to help you select the right size book you're after. Once inside the software, I found it to be very intuitive with quite a shallow learning curve. Everything's pretty much set out as you would expect. You've got all of your image sources on the left. On the bottom, you have the ability to quickly scroll through your pages as well as add, delete or reorder them. On the right, you have a few more options like the ability to add layers, which works pretty much like the layers tab in Photoshop, although a bit basic in comparison. In the center is your design, where you'll find the options like the ability to have grid lines from 0.5 centimeter to 2 centimeters. I personally wish there was an option to have even smaller grid lines for more precise positioning of your images or text when the snap into the grid option is activated. I often found myself wanting the border of my items in between the 0.5 centimeter grid lines, and I found myself having to fine tune using the arrow keys on my keyboard to get it in between the grid lines exactly where I wanted it. Also, there's no ability to add page numbers, so I had to go through the slight ordeal of having to sort out each page number individually. Something which was an even bigger headache though was realizing that I wanted to change the positioning of some of my images. I had to go through each image one by one to make the change. There's no way to select multiple images and multiple pages and just make a global change, which was made even worse again the fact that I wanted the images in between the grid lines, so I had to go through each image, use the arrow keys on my keyboard and fine tune every single one. The same went for the page numbers that I had to reposition after changing the position of all of my images. At the top, you can find options where you can save and load your projects, as well as exporting as a PDF, which I highly recommend you do. Send it to a few people for proofing before you send your book to print. Something which isn't to do specifically with Saal-Digital's software, but the editing process when going through your photos, is the ability to use Saal-Digital's ICC proofing for your chosen page style. I was choosing to print mine on matte paper, so I used the matte profile in Lightroom to see how exactly the images would be replicated on paper. Another good thing is that you don't actually have to use Saal-Digital software. You can use your own professional software like Adobe InDesign or Quark Express to design your own photo book. They even provide very detailed instructions about the formatting required to ensure your design is compatible with all of their requirements. So even with the small complaints, everything that I wanted to be able to do to create my simple design was achievable. So with the frustrations aside, for my use case scenario, in 2 words, I'd describe their free software as perfectly adequate. Now onto the book itself. There were several options that I could easily have done without, which would ultimately have brought down the cost. I did splash out for things though like the padded front and back covers and removing the barcode. So the cost can be significantly reduced just by going for the standard options that are available. So the book, from the feel of the padded covers to the matte pages inside, is genuinely excellent. The standard thickness pages are doubled up to allow for lay flat binding, more on that later. The total weight of the pages when doubled up comes in at 368 grams per meter squared, and with that thickness you're only able to see through to the opposing side when holding it up to a direct source of light. For the prints themselves, I use a color calibrated monitor and the accuracy of the prints is spot on. The very fine details are also transferred through to print as shown here, with the thin sliver of highlight of this rabbit being printed in 301 dpi sharp detail. The ink used is also advertised to last at least 75 years. Unfortunately, there's no option to add a dust jacket, and yes, I did have to Google what that was called. I personally prefer the look that having a dust jacket gives a book. I think it makes a book look a bit more professional, and having this option I feel would have brought the cost down even further, as a dust cover essentially just being another bit of paper would have been what had the print of the front and back covers on it. Whilst on the topic of cost, even though the pages in my book are the thinnest that Saal-Digital seem to offer, they are still quite thick. I'm not taking back my positivity about them earlier, I just feel that it's something you need to be mindful of when printing a book with a lot of pages in it. With the thicker pages comes a higher cost per page. I personally wouldn't recommend getting this type of book I ordered printed in bulk. Consider this book as part of your personal collection, showcasing your art, or possibly even just as a gift. Mine only has 48 pages and it's about 3/4 the thickness of a professional photographer's book with over 150 pages. If you're swinging the other way though, and the standard page thickness isn't enough for you, they do offer an XL version where the pages come in at 600 grams per meter squared and the pages end up over a millimeter thick. Last and not least, as I touched on before, Saal-Digital have available as standard lay flat binding. This is an extremely nice feature to have when considering a 2-page spread. The ability to have the pages flow without a harshly defined crease is magnifique. I'm guessing that if they did offer a thinner page option though, then the lay flat binding probably wouldn't be possible. As mentioned earlier, it's essentially 2 long pages stuck together. It would still be nice though to have the option of a thinner page or lay flat binding. So as this review comes to a close, it is now time to talk about the final part, the service. Saal-Digital were very responsive throughout the whole process, and reading up on customer reviews, it clearly shows that I wasn't alone here. It took them a total of 1 working day to print and dispatch the book, which is crazy fast. It came well packaged with a good amount of protection foam. My box came undamaged, but the foam packing feels dense enough to offer good protection against damage to the contents inside. Lastly, I actually had quite a big problem with the delivery of my order. The tracking service available showed that the package was delivered when I know full well no one was even in at the time to accept the delivery. 1 email later and Saal-Digital had another book printed and on its way to me. Big thumbs up for that one. So all in all, I have been very impressed. Some minor tweaks to the software, which again you don't actually need to use. Some more cover and page options would be nice. However, with that being said though, if the options that Saal-Digital currently have available are what you're after, I highly recommend the service that they have to offer from start to finish. Give it a think, and if your experience is anything like mine, then you definitely won't be disappointed. So I hope you've enjoyed this video review. That is it from me, Saal-Digital. If you're watching, make me a partner, wink wink. Remember guys, you can check out all of my photography on my Facebook, my Flickr and Instagram. Links will be down in the description below. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you like my content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.